You know, there's something we don't talk about enough. What happens if you ever need to call 911 but you can't speak? Maybe you're choking, or you've fallen and the breath has been knocked out of you. Maybe your voice just won't come. It's a scary thought, isn't it? But here's the good news. There are ways to get help even when you can't say a word. And today, I'm going to share 3 life-saving tricks every senior should know. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that you're at home, maybe in the kitchen or the living room, and suddenly, something's wrong. You reach for the phone, dial 911, but nothing comes out when you try to speak. Your heart's pounding, your mind's racing. What do? Well, that's exactly what we're going to cover. Because being prepared isn't about fear, it's about confidence. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you've got a plan. But before we dive into this important topic, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up and comment below telling me where you're watching from. I love connecting with all of you from around the world, so now let's begin. So let's start with the first trick, and it's something you can set up right now to make sure help comes even if you can't ask for it. Trick number 1. Teach your phone to call 911 without a word. Did you know that most smartphones today have built-in features that let you call emergency services without speaking? It's true. Whether you have an iPhone or an Android, there's a way to do this. Let's walk through it together. If you've got an iPhone, you can use something called Emergency SOS. Here's how it works. Press the side button and either volume button at the same time. Hold them down for a few seconds, and you'll see a slider appear on the screen. Now, if you keep holding those buttons, your phone will start a loud countdown, and then automatically call 911. No talking needed. For Android users, it's just as simple. Most newer models let you press the power button 5 times quickly, and that'll trigger an emergency call. Some phones might even send a text message to your emergency contacts with your location. Isn't that amazing? Now, I know technology can feel a little overwhelming sometimes, but trust me, this is worth taking a few minutes to set up. Grab your phone right now and try it. Practice pressing those buttons so it feels natural. Because in an emergency, you don't want to be fumbling around trying to remember what to do. And here's another little tip. If you do trigger an emergency call by accident, don't panic. Just stay on the line and let the operator know it was a mistake. They'd much rather hear you say, "Sorry, false alarm," than hang up and wonder if you're okay. Now, let's talk about what happens after the call goes through. Even if you can't speak, the 911 operator is trained to listen for clues. They might hear coughing, a struggle, or even silence, and they'll send help. But there's a way to make sure they get to you even faster, and that's our next trick. You see, calling 911 is just the first step. But what if you're alone and help is on the way? How do they find you? Well, that's where our second life-saving trick comes in, and it's all about making sure you're never left waiting when seconds count. Imagine this, you've managed to call 911, but you can't speak. The operator picks up, but all they hear is silence, or maybe the sound of you struggling to breathe. They know something's wrong, but here's the problem, they don't know where you are. Now, if you're at home, you might think, well, won't they just trace the call? And yes, in many cases, 911 can get a general location from your phone. But here's the thing, it's not always exact, especially if you're inside a large apartment building or a house set back from the street. Those precious minutes while emergency crews search for you, they matter. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. Trick number 2, prepare your home for a silent emergency. This trick is all about giving first responders the information they need before they even arrive. And the best part? It's something you can do today, in just a few minutes. First, let's talk about your front door. If paramedics or police are rushing to help you, the last thing you want is for them to waste time knocking or trying to figure out how to get inside. So here's what I recommend, get a lockbox or a key safe. These are small, secure boxes that attach to your door frame or a nearby railing, and they hold a spare key. You set the combination, and in an emergency, you can give that code to the 911 operator. That way, even if you can't get up to open the door, help can get to you fast. Now, if a lockbox isn't an option, there's another simple solution. Keep a spare key in a predetermined spot, like under a specific flower pot or inside a fake rock, and make sure a trusted neighbor knows where it is. That way, if you ever call 911 but can't speak, the operator can dispatch help and notify a neighbor to let them in. But what if you're not at home? What if you're out for a walk or running errands? That's where your phone comes in again. Both iPhones and Androids have a feature that lets emergency services access your medical information, even if your phone is locked. On an iPhone, it's called Medical ID, on Android, it's emergency information. You can fill this out with your name, address, medical conditions, and emergency contacts. So if you're unable to speak, a first responder can still find out where you live or who to call. Here's how to set it up right now. On an iPhone, open the Health app, tap your profile picture, then Medical ID. Fill in your details and make sure Show When Locked is turned on. On Android, open Settings, then About Phone, and look for Emergency Information. Enter your details there. And while we're on the subject, let's talk about medical alert systems. If you live alone or have health concerns, these can be a lifesaver. With the press of a button, whether it's a pendant you wear or a device on your wrist, you're connected to emergency services. Some even have fall detection, so if you take a hard tumble and can't press the button, the system calls for help automatically. Now, I know some folks think, oh, I don't need that yet. But here's the truth, emergencies don't wait until we're ready. A little preparation today can make all the difference tomorrow. So let's recap what we've covered so far. You've learned how to call 911 without speaking using your smartphone. You've set up your home so help can get inside quickly. You've made sure your phone can speak for you, even when you can't. But what if you're in a situation where you can make noise, just not words? That's where our third trick comes in, and it's one that could save your life in the most unexpected way. Because sometimes, the key to getting help isn't about technology or keys, it's about knowing how to signal when words fail you. And that's exactly what we'll cover next. Let's talk about those moments when you can make noise, gasps, taps, even the sound of an object falling, but you just can't form words. Maybe you're having a stroke, or there's an intruder in your home and speaking would put you in more danger. In situations like these, sound itself can become your lifeline, if you know how to use it. Trick number 3, master the universal distress signals. First, let's talk about what 911 operators are trained to listen for. When they answer a silent call, they're not just waiting for speech, they're listening for patterns. 3 of anything, 3 taps, 3 coughs, 3 sharp breaths, is an internationally recognized distress signal. It's like shouting, help, without saying a word. Here's how to use it. If you've managed to dial 911 but can't speak, try to make 3 distinct sounds. Bang the phone against a table 3 times. Knock loudly on your wall if you're near one. If you're holding something metal, like a cane or a utensil, tap it rhythmically, tap tap tap, pause, tap tap tap. That pattern tells the operator this isn't an accidental call or background noise, you're signaling for help. Now, what if you're not near your phone? This is where your environment becomes your ally. Keep a whistle on your nightstand, in your pocket, or around your neck. They make lovely, lightweight ones that look like jewelry. 3 sharp blasts on a whistle will carry much farther than your voice ever could. Neighbors are more likely to hear it, and if you've called 911, the operator may hear it through the phone too. For those who worry about falling, here's a clever trick. Place a sturdy bell near areas where you spend time alone, next to your favorite chair, on your bedside table, even in the shower, mount it with a suction cup. If you fall and can't get up, ringing that bell continuously can alert someone nearby. I once heard about a woman who kept a bicycle horn clipped to her walker. When she slipped in her garden, she pressed that horn until a neighbor came running. Now that's using your head when you can't use your voice. And here's something most people don't think about: your hearing aids. If you wear them, practice taking them out and putting them back on with your eyes closed. Why? Because in an emergency, you might need to remove them to hear the 911 operator's instructions through your phone's speaker. Some newer models even have Bluetooth that can connect directly to your phone. Check your manual to see if yours can do this. Let me share a story that really drove this home for me. A gentleman in his 80s, we'll call him Frank, woke up to the smell of smoke in the middle of the night. His throat was so tight from the fumes he couldn't shout. But Frank had done two smart things. He'd programmed his phone's emergency SOS feature, like we talked earlier, and he kept a flashlight with a strobe setting by his bed. When he couldn't speak to the 911 operator, he turned on that flashing light and pointed it out the window. The firefighters saw it immediately and got to him before the smoke did. Now that's what I call being prepared. This brings us to an important point: emergencies don't follow scripts. Maybe you can't tap 3 times because your arms are pinned. Maybe the whistle is across the room when you need it. That's why the real secret isn't any single trick, it's having multiple options. Like a carpenter with a full toolbox, the more tools you have for silent emergencies, the better your chances of reaching help. Because here's what I haven't told you yet: there's one more layer of protection that doesn't require gadgets or signals at all. It's about training the people around you to notice when something's wrong, and that's where true safety begins. You know, when we talk about emergencies, we often focus on gadgets and technology, but the most powerful tool you have is people. Think about your daily routine: the mail carrier who comes at the same time each day, the neighbor who walks their dog past your window every evening, the friend who calls you every Sunday afternoon. These ordinary rhythms of life can become your secret safety net, if you know how to use them. The power of the daily check-in. Here's something simple but brilliant that many seniors have started doing: they've created a check-in system with someone they trust. It works like this: you agree on a daily signal, something small but noticeable, that shows you're okay. Maybe it's opening your kitchen curtain every morning by 9 a.m. Maybe it's turning on a particular lamp in the evening. For one couple I know, it's placing a brightly colored magnet on their mailbox when they've taken their morning walk safely. The beauty of this system? If your signal doesn't happen, your safety person knows to check on you immediately. No waiting for a missed phone call. No wondering if you're just napping. It's silent, it's simple, and it works even if you can't speak. Now, you might be thinking, but what if I forget? That's why you choose something that's already part of your routine. My friend Ethel uses her coffee maker as her signal. She always moves the pot from the left side of the counter to the right after breakfast. Her daughter, who lives across town, drives by on her way to work each morning. If that coffee pot isn't on the right by 9:30 a.m., she knows to stop and check. Teaching others to recognize silence as a cry for help. Here's something important to remember: most people aren't trained to recognize silent emergencies. If you suddenly stop answering your phone or don't come to the door, they might assume you're busy or resting. That's why you need to have the conversation with your inner circle. Next time you're with family or close friends, say something like, "I want you to know that if you ever call me and I don't answer after 3 tries, especially if it's unusual for me, that might mean I need help." Don't just leave a message. Call my neighbor or 911 if you're worried. For those who live alone, consider giving a trusted person a spare key with clear instructions: if you can't reach me for 12 hours and it's not like me, please come check, don't wait. You'd be amazed how many tragedies could be prevented if someone had just entered a home a few hours earlier. The paper trail that speaks for you. Now, let's talk about something most of us never consider: what if you're found unconscious? First responders are trained to look for medical information in specific places. Here's how to make sure they find yours. Tape an index card to your refrigerator. paramedics always check there, with your name, birth date, medications, allergies, and emergency contacts. Keep a copy in your wallet behind your ID. If you have a smartphone, set your lock screen to display emergency information. One retired nurse I met takes this a step further. She wears a medical alert bracelet that says, "Check fridge," engraved on the back. Smart, right? When technology and people work together. Remember Frank from our last segment? After his smoke incident, he added one more layer to his safety plan. He bought a $30 smart plug that turns his living room lamp on and off automatically at set times. Now, if the lamp doesn't follow its usual schedule, his neighbor knows something might be wrong. The point isn't to live in fear, it's to create small, simple systems that give you freedom. When you know you've got backup, you can enjoy your independence with real peace of mind. All these tricks we've covered, the phone shortcuts, the signals, the check-ins, they're like invisible threads weaving a safety net around your daily life. But there's one final piece that ties them all together, and it might be the most important lesson of all. Let me tell you about my neighbor, Margaret. She's 82, sharp as a tack, and fiercely independent. When I first mentioned setting up emergency systems, she waved me off with a laugh. "Oh, I've lived this long without all that fuss." Then one rainy Tuesday, she slipped in her bathroom. She was conscious but couldn't reach the phone. It was 14 hours before her book club noticed her absence and called for help. You know what Margaret said when she got home from the hospital? "I thought being careful meant not taking risks. I never realized being careful meant preparing for them." That's what this final part is really about, not just knowing the tricks, but adopting the mindset that makes them work. Because all the emergency features in the world won't help if we don't use them, just like a seatbelt won't protect you if it's still buckled behind your back. There's a strange thing about humans, especially us seasoned folks. We'll prepare for a thunderstorm by buying batteries, or for winter by insulating pipes, but when it comes to our personal safety, we often think, "It won't happen to me." Maybe it's because facing our vulnerability feels uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Preparing isn't about expecting disaster, it's about claiming your power to handle whatever comes. Take 5 minutes right now, yes, right now while it's fresh in your mind, to do one thing we've discussed. Program your phone's emergency SOS. Place a whistle by your bedside. Tape your medical info to the fridge. Tell one person about your check-in signal. That's all it takes to start. You don't have to do everything at once, but do something today. Practice makes prepared. Here's something emergency responders wish everyone knew: people forget how to help themselves in crises. That's why we practice fire drills our whole lives. So let's create your personal safety drill. Once a month, pretend you've fallen and can't speak. Can you reach your whistle or phone? Every season change, test your emergency systems. Does your lockbox combination still work? Have your emergency contacts changed? When you get a new prescription, update your medical ID. Make these habits as routine as changing smoke detector batteries. Now, here's the beautiful part. When you take these steps, you're not just protecting yourself. You're creating a blueprint others can follow. Share what you've learned with your bridge club or your grandchildren. Teach your neighbor how to set up their medical ID. You might start a chain reaction that saves someone else's life. Remember Margaret? She recovered fully and became the safety ambassador of our senior center. Last month, she recognized a friend's missed curtain signal and found him just in time after a mild stroke. That's the power of this mindset, it spreads. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought: getting older isn't about losing independence, it's about being wise enough to protect it. You've lived through decades of changes, adapted to technologies that didn't exist in your youth, and weathered life's surprises. These safety steps, they're just one more way you're taking life by the reins. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's the first safety step you're going to take? Share in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. And if you found this helpful, pay it forward by sharing this video with someone you care about. Here's to living smart, staying safe, and enjoying every moment with peace of mind. Because you, my friend, are worth taking care of.